Good afternoon. I'm Tim Tomasik, and on behalf of the Chicago Bar Association, welcome to our 150th annual meeting of this historic organization. With the great leadership of Terry Murphy, Terry Mashorn, and Judge Patton, we will be celebrating our 150th anniversary throughout the year. We've already started some of those celebrations, but we're very excited about it. More to follow at the end of this meeting. I have to say, it's so amazing to look out at this crowd and see over 300 of our members, friends, and judges gathered together for our annual meeting. Last year, when Executive Director Beth McMean and I set up the annual meeting, we weren't sure if we'd have 40 or 50, 80 people RSVP coming out of the pandemic. But one of the objectives I set and we set for this year was to turn back for more in-person meetings, especially for big, important live events like all of our award ceremonies, our high-profile CLE programs, and guess what? That's exactly what has occurred. I'm very pleased to report that all our major events, the Stevens Awards, headed up by the great Judge Wright, Dickerson, Vanguard, Pro Bono Awards, Woman Alliance Awards, all have been sold out, oversold, and well attended. So what's the takeaway? It's what we saw coming out of the pandemic, and that is, in most every instance, there is just no substitute for in-person meetings, in-person face-to-face conversations. That's what lawyers have done for generations. So thank you all for being here. And a final thought on live events in attendance. I would just like to, on behalf of leadership, once again extend great thanks to Judge Mari Mahmad, past president, and past President Lynn Grayson, who led this organization through the dark days of the pandemic, where all of our members in the legal community received all of the services that they were receiving pre-pandemic, and we owe them great thanks for their leadership during those dark days. So I'm going to do some introductions of some of our distinguished guests, and then we'll take a short break for lunch, but I'll start at the right end of the head table. We have Executive Director Beth McMean. I'd ask everyone to hold their applause, and we'll go through the table. Forgot to say that at first. We have Tricia Rich, soon to be our new secretary. We have the Honorable Justice Elizabeth Rochford from the Supreme Court, Katie Liss, Judge Nicole Patton, of course, Chief Judge Tim Evans. We have Chief Justice from the Illinois Supreme Court, Mary Jane Tice. We have our President-elect, Ray Koenig. We have Ray. I'm sure. Okay. Oh, there he is. He's there. Ray and I switched. We switched seats. That's my fault. Chief Judge Rebecca Pallmeyer, welcome. Of course, we have Judge Mary Kay Marubio. Thank you for being here. We have Vice President John Shikoda. We have the Reverend Courtney Reed from the All Saints Episcopal Church. And of course, Nina Fain and Marty Gould, our new young lawyer section leader. We're expecting great things out of you this year. One of the things the Chicago Bar Association for 150 years has been most proud of is our relationship with the judiciary and the activities that we work on to promote judicial independence. And at this time, I would like to ask all of the judges in the room from the Circuit Court of Cook County, from the Illinois Appellate Courts from DuPage County and surrounding courts, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Thank you for your commitment to the system, our system of justice, your commitment to the rule of law, your commitment to judicial independence, and those are commitments that this Bar Association has stood for 150 years and will do so for the next 150 years. We also have a number of elected officials in the crowd. I'd ask you just to please rise and be recognized. Thank you. I would also like to extend a personal welcome to all of the bar leaders, leaders from the legal community who are here, and as a point of executive privilege, I'd like to especially welcome my partner, Sean Kasserman, the newly installed president of the ISBA. I believe the vice president, Sonny Williams, may be here. Thank you. Over the past year, and certainly before, I had the opportunity to not only work very closely with the CBA, but with the ISBA, but other bar associations in Chicago. And we are committed to continue to work with all of the bar associations and the ISBA going forward, because at the end of the day, we all stand in the same common mission, and that is to improve the practice of law, always protecting the rule of law and judicial independence, and importantly, promoting diversity and inclusion in the profession of law and moving forward in our legal community with these very, very important issues. Just a few more recognitions before we take a break for lunch. Throughout my career, I've had maybe a unique opportunity or a special opportunity to watch, learn, and work from so many of our great past presidents. This organization is built on its members and its leadership, but at the end of the day, every year it starts with the past presidents. I would ask them all to rise and everyone to hold their applause, and I'm just going to introduce all the past presidents that are here, and I hope I don't miss one. Judge Miriam Ahmad, Anita Alvarez, Terrence Burns, Dan Cotter, Tom Demetrios, Steve Elrod, Lynn Grayson, Ray Hofer, my partner Dan Coten, down the hallway, a great consultant for me, Terry Masherin, Judge Tom Mulroy, Gordon Nash, Jennifer Nyman, and the great Judge Ken Wright. Thank you. Thank you for leading this organization to where it is today. There's somebody else that the executive committee and I would like to recognize that does such important work. Sometimes it's by design, quiet work behind the scenes. But I'd ask our general counsel, Howard Suskin, to please rise. Howard has given the greatest advice and guidance and direction on real legal issues and internal CBA issues, and you make our Bar Association a great and appropriately run organization, Howard, and thank you for the past 10 years and everything you've done, and you better not be thinking about going anywhere. I'd also like to especially welcome our court reporter for the 150th meeting, Isabella Tenerelli from Royal Court Reporting. Thank you for being here and taking the minutes for our meeting here today. At this time, I have the great privilege of introducing the Reverend Courtney Reed, Associate Rector at the All Saints Episcopal Church for invocation. Reverend?
Thank you. It is an honor and privilege to be here today, and I thank Ray, I'm pointing to his family, but I thank Ray for the invitation. I first had the privilege of getting to know Ray, almost 20 years ago while I was working at Center on Halsted, and Ray provided support, pro bono support to many of our clients who are facing a variety of legal challenges. And we have followed each other's careers over the years, and as he and Johnny have two beautiful daughters who love the water, so my wife and I do as well. So we've got swimmers and water polo players that we keep track of on our social media pages. It's just a delight to be here and to share with you as you celebrate 150 years and all the work that you've done. I'm also aware as these last days of June bring announcements, even today, from the Supreme Court that will impact all of us, but may hit some more keenly and sharply, that as we call on the Holy One, that We remember that while there may be diverse opinions in this room, that while some may cheer at one ruling, that the same ruling may cause anger and even fear. This week, a reflection I received from the Center for Action and Contemplation invited us to slow down. And in a time when we seem to sprint from one crisis, one fire to the next, philosopher Bayo Akomolafe wrote, "To slow down seems like the wrong thing to do when there's fire on the mountain." But here's the point. In hurrying up all the time, we often lose sight of the abundance of resources that might help us meet today's most challenging crisis. We rush through the same patterns we are used to. Of course, there isn't a single way to respond to a crisis. There's no universally correct way. However, the call to slow down works to bring us face to face with the invisible, the hidden, the unremarked, the yet to be resolved. And as we gather today, let us remember that slowing down is a practice, a sacred practice, a gift we can bring to our dearest relationships and practices. So let us pray. God of many names, God who breathed life into creation and named it good, God who calls us to slow down so that we might see and hear your call to us. We come to you this day in gratitude. Gratitude for awakening this morning to the new day. Grateful for the chance to gather with colleagues and friends, and grateful for work that is challenging and fulfilling. As we remember the accomplishments of this past year, as we call forth and install new leaders, may we always begin each day with thanksgiving. Help us always to be people of courage and conviction, daring to stand for those without voice, remembering that all your people are your beloved creatures. May we always call out injustice and use gifts to be capable counsels to clients, worthy officers of the courts, and upholders of justice. May we exercise our skills and privilege with humility and compassion, with keen awareness of all who have gone before us. May we acknowledge the sacrifices and generosity of others, families, mentors, teachers, and friends, which have led to our own successes. As these new leaders are installed, O God, imbue them with patience and perseverance as they lead. Send your blessings upon them so they may serve with faithfulness and furtherance of the mission. And may their words and actions always be grounded in truth and service. And O holy God, we give you thanks for this meal we share, for the hands that grew and prepared it for those who are serving it. May it nourish our bodies so that we might be strengthened for the work ahead. We ask all these things in your holy and blessed name. Amen.
Reverend, thank you for those very meaningful and kind words. Thank you very much. At this time, we'd like everybody to enjoy their lunch and the camaraderie at your table. Of course, we always activate banquet rules for our luncheons here, so we'll take a little break and then we'll return to our programming. Thank you. Okay, attention everyone. Please continue to enjoy your lunch and, of course, dessert. As I mentioned before, we always follow banquet protocol at our annual meetings. But we are going to get started with the next portion of our meeting and eventually get to the passing of the gavel to my good friend Ray Koenig. But I do hope everyone enjoyed their lunch. At this time, I would truly like to recognize the hard work and dedication of our outgoing board members. As you're named, I'd ask you to just please stand. Michael L. Karaki, Dan Berkowitz, Octavio Duran, Robert Fioretti, Skip Harsh, Risa Lanier, Patty McCarthy, Judge James McGing, and Sandra Yamati. And Sandra, thank you for everything you've done. All of your leadership and guidance you gave this year and your continued commitment and guidance and support to the CBA is critical. Now entering some of the more critical aspects of our meeting, I'd ask everyone to please give the podium your undivided attention and focus. Turn your cell phones off. And I'd welcome our great CBA Secretary, Katie Liss, up to the podium to please review the 48 pages of minutes from the 2022 annual meeting.
Thank you, Mr. President, and congrats on guiding the CBA through a wonderful year this year. And Ray, we look forward to you taking the helm next year and leading the CBA. And thank you, everyone, for coming to today's meeting. When you're a CBA secretary, this is the most important part of the job, so I'm happy to be here at the annual meeting. I prepared and reviewed the 48 pages of last year's minutes from the annual meeting, and I'm looking forward to reading every single word on all these pages. Yes. Thank you very much. Is there a second? I hear it. Thank you. Oh, Judge McWilliams, I heard you. Thank you. All right. All those in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you very much, and I'll pass the podium back to Tim.
Madam Secretary, thank you very much for the detailed report. Our next order of business is our report from our treasurer, Nina Fain. At this time, I'd like to ask my dear friend, Nina Fain, to approach the podium and give the treasurer's report.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nina Fain. But first, before I begin my report, I want to publicly thank my colleague, CBA Controller Mark Cellini, for his leadership, and I also want to thank his accounting staff. They are the unsung heroes that help to make the CBA a titan among bar associations. As CBA Treasurer, I am pleased to report that the CBA continues to be financially strong. Despite the challenges of the banking crisis, the Ukrainian war, inflation, and the post-COVID economy, under the leadership of President Tim Tomasik, the CBA is in excellent financial condition. Specifically, the CBA has done well in terms of its operations and member benefits in this past fiscal year. The CBA consistently has sold out major receptions, had full capacity attendance at key in-person and online events, and our CBA thrives because of the financial support of you, our members. Through the collection of membership dues, as well as paid in-person and online and on-demand CLE programs, we have been financially successful. Other unique programs, such as trial trainings, trial reenactments, and guest lectures, have added to our financial success. As a 501c6 trade association, our mission is to enhance our members' professional knowledge and networking through these online and in-person events. Let me share some specific examples of our CBA's financial success. In addition to the programs previously mentioned, they help us generate revenue in different ways. The organization made a recent investment in our website and its online CLE platform, and it has now become the top source for the generation of non-dues revenues. Also, with the acceptance by our members, each of you, of a modest dues increase, the first in over a decade, we were able to increase our dues revenue by more than 2%, which allowed us to expand our programming for you. Our budget is always conservative, because we are mindful of the sacrifice that members make each year as they recommit to the CBA and pay their dues. In addition to the increased revenue from dues collection, the CBA staff, collaborating with Executive Director Beth McMean, has had tremendous success in garnering increased revenue in the case income from the lawyer referral department, leveraging our strong cash position to take advantage of the current Loop venue needs and apply resources to compete and attract new hospitality events for catering and space rental at our building. Profitably, we have filled a void left by the closure of the Standard Club. We are able to reduce costs for staff by realigning staff duties and making staff reductions through attrition after COVID. The CBA's efforts were acknowledged by our independent auditors. We received a clean audit opinion that reflected our adherence to the Platinum Standard of GAAP, also known as Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. Further, the best financial news is that despite the economic challenges of this last year, the fair market value of our CBA investment portfolios, conservatively invested, has increased significantly. These investments are reviewed and monitored closely by the CBA Finance Committee, which I chair, to assure that we consistently have adhered to our investment policies. With advice and guidance for the Finance Committee from our investment advisors, UBS, Merrill Lynch, and BlackRock, any recommended adjustments to our investments are then approved by the CBA Finance Committee. Now, how does this help you, our members? For example, a key member benefit is the Wolf Fund, which assists disabled or medically incapacitated members in need. This bar year, the Wolf Fund investments exceeded $3 million, and we were able to provide nearly $200,000 in benefits to our members. Also, the CBA Special Gifts and Legacies Fund grew too and performed against its selected benchmarks and exceeded them. Last but not least, for our CBA employees, the 401k fund, which is managed by UBS, increased in value, and as you know, that is a key benefit for any employee. UBS also helps give workshops for our employees so that they can learn about retirement planning. Finally, we wanted to inform you that our Board of Managers approved and accepted the CBA budget proposal for fiscal year 2023 to 2024, which will support incoming President Ray Koenig III's goals for our members. In closing, I want to thank each of you for your continued financial commitment to the CBA, and clearly you know and we know that without you, our success would not be possible. Thank you.
Madam Treasurer, thank you. Thank you again, Madam Treasurer. The next item on our agenda is an important item. This is the time where we introduce our new officers and board members. I have the distinct privilege and honor of bringing up to the podium past president and good friend Anita Alvarez, who I practiced with in the gang unit at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, the chair of the CBA Election and Nominating Committee. Anita, welcome.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is a very important announcement, even though I think we all know what the results were. Good afternoon. I am here to report on the results of the CBA Election Committee. There were no nominations made for any office or for membership on the Board of Managers other than the nomination already made by the Nominating Committee. Therefore, pursuant to Article 8, Section 8.7 of the bylaws of the association, the Elections Committee cast the vote of the members of the association for the following nominees selected by the Nominating Committee. And these nominees are For second vice president, Catherine Carsolis. For secretary, Tricia Rich. For treasurer, Nina Fain. And the following nominees for 2-year terms on the Board of Managers, Margaret Mendenhall Casey, Josie Goff, Brian Hausman, Justice Margaret Stanton McBride, Peter McNamara, John Mitchell, Air Salvi, and Brendan Stark. Under the bylaws of the association, the person who served as YLS chair for 2 years prior automatically becomes a member of the Board of Managers. So this year, Tracy Brandmeier, having served as YLS chair, becomes a member of the Board of Managers. The bylaws also provide that the second vice president of the association automatically succeeds to the office of the first vice president. This year, John Shikoda, having served during the past year as second vice president, automatically succeeds to the office of first vice president. In addition, our first vice president of the association automatically succeeds to the office of president. This year, Ray Koenig, having served during the past year as first vice president, automatically becomes our president. So congratulations to all our board members and to all of our officers.
Thank you again, Anita. What a fantastic group of talented lawyers joining CBA leadership. There is no doubt there are great things to come with the CBA under Ray's leadership with this group at the helm. We also have a number of board members who will be remaining and continuing on the board, and we would like to recognize and thank them, and I'd ask you all to please stand to be recognized. The remaining board members are Louis Apostol, Nadra Elarbati, Tony Fada, Cynthia Granfield, Jeffrey Moskowitz, Judge Mary Rowland, Kevin Thompson, Judge Alan Walker, Matt Walsh. And Matt was the co-chair of our Pro Bono Week with Michael Stone. I'd just like to throw a special thank you out to Matt Walsh and Michael for their great work with that project this year. So we look forward to your continued service on the board. Thank you, everyone. Please remain standing, because at this time, I have the great honor of asking a judge from our Circuit Court of Cook County, Nicole Patton, to come up and administer the oath to all board members and the new officers. Judge Patton.
Thank you, everyone. If I can have all of our new, except Mr. President, if I can have all of our new CBA officers and Board of Managers to please stand to prepare to take your oath. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, will faithfully execute my duties as, state the name of your office, of the Chicago Bar Association to the best of my ability, and in accordance with the bylaws of the association. Congratulations.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge Patton, thank you. Congratulations to everybody who will be serving on the board and our officers. We're so excited. We want you to know that we know we and you will accomplish great things in the year to come, and we wish you the very, very, very best. Before I move on to some closing remarks, I have a couple matters of business I would like to address. The first one is I mentioned our 150th celebration, which is underway. It's going to be a fantastic year. We have incredible programming that's going to run throughout the year, all culminating in a gala at Union Station in May 2024. It's really going to be spectacular. And I want to talk to everybody about a couple great recent developments and projects that the Executive Committee and the Board have been working on. First, I would like to announce that the leadership of the CBA is creating a Champion of Justice Award, which will be awarded for the first time, and it'll run in perpetuity starting this May. The award that we have created is the Robert A. Clifford Champion of Justice Award. Robert A. Clifford is a past president of this organization. For many, many decades, he's given of his time, his heart, and financially to the Chicago Bar Association. And it will be a great honor to present him with the first inaugural award of the Robert A. Clifford Champion of Justice Award. And also, as Bob has done for many, many decades, he is reached out to us and will be a platinum sponsor of the 150th anniversary celebration. And we'd just like to recognize that this is a great, great celebration and thank Clifford Law Offices, my firm and my partners, Tomasik, Casterman, and all the other firms that are stepping up and sponsoring the events for this upcoming year. There's a rule of law event that's going to have both European, English, Irish, Scottish lawyers. It's going to be fantastic, and a lot of other programming. So we're really excited. The other thing I wanted to do is point out to you that you have these cards on your table celebrating 150 years. And on the back, there's a Scan Me barcode. And one thing that we've been promoting even before the 150th is our sustaining membership, which is a box on membership dues. We've actually lowered it to simply $150. And we're asking all of our members to consider and contribute if able. You can easily do so by clicking on the barcode, and it'll help fund the many, many projects that we have, or in events and speakers that we have upcoming in this very next bar year. So I do have a few private remarks, personal remarks I'd like to share with everybody before I pass the gavel to my great friend Ray Koenig. But before I do, there's one other official act of business that I need to take care of. We have Bob Glaves here, who has been running the Chicago Bar Foundation for many, many years, so successfully, of course. Right now with the great work and commitment of Greg Boyle and Kenya Jenkins-Wright. Bob is incredibly unselfish, and something came to my attention that needs to be rectified. Last year, we had a fabulous golf outing at the Chicago Highlands in September. It was a great day. We had a great turnout and a lot of fun, and after the reception and after the event, it came to my attention that for the closest to the pin competition on the 6th hole, Bob Glaves was within inches and didn't put his name on the card. And so I sought Bob out, and I said, Bob, come on. That was a great shot. You earned it. And he's like, Bob, being Bob Glaves, the most unselfish guy in the world. He said, Tim, that's not right. This is for members, guests, and judges. I didn't put my name on. Bob, we're going to go nunc pro tunc. Come on up. We got something for you. Come on up. So we have for Bob a quarter zip from the Chicago Highlands. Bob?
Hey, thank you, Tim.
And we have some golf balls.
Thank you. I just want to tell you why I didn't put my name on. I missed the putt. All right, sorry.
Bob, thank you for everything you do. As I was reflecting back about my closing remarks, I was reminded about a wonderful conversation I had with a friend and colleague of mine at the Supreme Court reception this past December, and I'm talking about Judge Sophia Hall, who I've always just had a delightful relationship with. She came up to me and thanked me for my work as president of Chicago Bar Association, and thanked me. This is co-hosted by the ISBA and the Chicago Bar, and it was our year to introduce our speaker, which happened to be Chief Justice Mary Jane Tice, and she thanked me for those remarks. And then she imparted she imparted some great wisdom with me. And, she's lively, and she smiled, and she said, Tim, I want you to really enjoy the next 5 or 6 months, because that's the only time you have left when people are going to be willing to hear what you have to say. And it was great. So I think I have about 2 minutes left, and I would just like to make some remarks about my year. So serving as the 146th president of this historic organization is no doubt been an absolute privilege. It's been a cherished high point of my legal career. I've appreciated every single moment. I've enjoyed every success. I've embraced every challenge. And trust me, Ray, as you know, there will be challenges scheduled and unscheduled. I've done everything I can to live up to the trust that you have placed in me, the same trust you've placed in every past president, and I've tried to follow what I've learned from every past president. I cannot express enough gratitude to the enormous support that I've received from the Chicago Bar Association, from Beth McMean, from Mark Cellini, from Jennifer Byrne, from Karen Stanton, Sharon Nolan, Ann Glynn, Ricardo. Where's Michelle? Michelle's here somewhere. She's always doing everything she can to make things happen at the CBA. Our staff is spectacular, and they've done a fabulous work coming out of the pandemic, so thank you. I've been on a number of executive committees. They've all been fantastic and great over the years. This has been a very special executive committee. We've all become great friends. I can't tell you what a privilege and pleasure it's been to work with Ray and John, Katie, Nita, Lynn, of course, Beth and Mark, and Dan Berkowitz. And Marty, welcome aboard, man. You're just gonna crush it and have a great year. So thank you to everyone. I would especially like to thank my partners, associates, and the team at TKK. Dan, Sean, Bob, Phil, Heather, Jim, Katie, Lauren, Eddie, you've been fantastic, patient, helpful, supportive. I've balanced the responsibility of being president of the Chicago Bar Association with, at the same time, thanks to your help and support, being an effective partner, and I believe a zealous advocate on behalf of our clients, but I couldn't have done it without you. And I have to really emphasize great thanks to my paralegal, Ashley, who's here today, who is unbelievably organized and has kept a very pressing schedule together. She's kept me on track. She's managed my professional life, and this couldn't have happened without all of your hard work. Thank you, Ashley. Raquel, you're right there. Raquel is an office coordinator. She keeps me on track. There's not a court order I miss, and she sends me out the door when I'm late. And Raquel, thank you for everything you've done as well. And of course, I think everyone here knows my wonderful wife, Jennifer. And by the way, longtime sustaining member, so let's get on to it. Jennifer, a trial lawyer in her own right. But Jennifer, thank you so much for your unwavering support and love. And gosh, you've been fantastic with Mackenzie and Maeve. And I'll talk a little bit more, but I love you. Thank you. In the CBA record in this past issue, I highlighted a couple of dozen, highlights of the year, events, debates, high-profile speakers, CLE programs, the mayoral debate, things like that. You can read about those things. Just a couple of things I'd like to mention that I think I'm really excited about. I know the executive committee was really excited about. And one of them is the revival of the CBA Leadership Institute. It's a fantastic program where we actually graduate experienced lawyers with a special certificate. We brought that back. I'd like to especially thank co-chairs Ashley Jackson and John Amarillo. And I'd like to extend a special thanks to John, who in the past and in the present, and I'm sure in the future, continues to provide great leadership to this Bar Association. We have this year and the past, as long as I've been exec, gone to John with heavy lifting projects. He's been involved in a number of very, very important projects on behalf of the CBA, including writing the bylaws. He's been appointed to help search committee to find a new inspector general for Cook County. So John, thank you for everything you've done and will continue to do. One of the highlights of my year, I just will mention this because it was so great, and we have many of the participants here. Working with the YLS and the DICE program on the Fred Korematsu trial. This was really a spectacular event where we had a number of lawyers, I think a total of 23 actors, and we went all the way back to the charging and the actual trial of Fred Korematsu and the appeal and the appellate arguments, report arguments, and the aftermath and the injustice that followed him throughout its life, and it was a high honor to participate in that very important diversity program. Finally, I just would be remiss if I didn't mention the CLE first trip abroad to Ireland. It was just a fantastic trip. In fact, I would go as far to call it epic. We had a great time in Dublin, Ireland. The Bar of Ireland was great. We just talked to them on a Zoom call. They're going to come over here in September. But for the 106 or 8 people who came, I think everybody enjoyed it, had a great time. And I saw Judge Tom Mulroy here, who put together another just epic CLE program, which was absolutely fantastic. I think it's available online. So Judge Mulroy, Jennifer Byrne, thank you so much. But also those, yeah, thank you. Also, for those who are on the trip, know that my wonderful bride and wife, Jennifer, was responsible for arranging, scheduling, and touring activities and tours and dinners, and it turned out, start to finish, to be a fantastic trip. So, Jennifer, I love you for that. Thank you. So it's a high honor to introduce Ray Koenig. Ray, it's a privilege to be passing the CBA gavel to Ray, of course, signifying the peaceful transfer of power and leadership here at the CBA. I've gotten to know Ray over the years. I knew him previously, but he's become a very, very close friend. He is no doubt an especially gifted, skilled, talented lawyer. He's a leader. He's a problem solver. He brings great vision, creativity, and undoubtedly will prove to be critical in this upcoming year, where he will be tasked with some help in overseeing the celebration of our 150th anniversary, and I know that's something that he embraces. But Ray also brings to the Chicago Bar Association something that I think we all know about Ray. He's a managing partner at one of the largest firms in the United States, certainly the Chicago office. But he is one of the most organized and put together managers that I know, who executes on everything that he starts. I mean, this guy is so organized. If you've ever been on the phone or in person and made a dinner reservation with Ray, it usually goes like this, just real time. You're making the reservation, you're still talking to him, boom, it pops into your calendar on your phone, so you're already set. And then as you're still talking, the next email or text that you get would be the MapQuest walking directions to the restaurant. And then, of course, it's followed by contact information about how to contact the restaurant if you get lost. And then the reminder 15 minutes before. But Ray, there's no doubt that we're not going to miss a step with you at the helm. So it's a great honor to congratulate Ray. You have my support, our support, the support of this organization. You bring great diversity to the position of president. And we are going to have a swearing in of Ray here in a moment. But before we do so, I would just like to pass the 150-year-old Lincoln gavel to you, Ray. I'll be back. And at this time, I think we have Judge Nicole Patton, who's going to administer. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. That was my mistake. It's going to come sometime. Judge Mary Kay Marubio. Thank you so much for being here, Judge. Sorry about that.
How do you want to stand? Good. Make sure that no one wants to hear me, they want to hear you.
We've not rehearsed this, so this is going to be fun.
I, Ray Koenig,
I, Ray Koenig,
will faithfully execute my duties as president of the Chicago Bar Association
will faithfully execute my duties as president of the Chicago Bar Association
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and in accordance with the bylaws of the association.
and in accordance with the bylaws of the association.
Congratulations, we're very proud of you.
At this time, as the tradition allows us to do, I would like to pass to Ray the ceremonial presidential gavel for Ray in his office. Ray.
Good afternoon. Make sure I have the mic in the right spot. So it is truly my pleasure to serve as president of the Chicago Bar Association as we embark on the celebration of a milestone year. Thank you for electing me. Before I move on, I want to ask you to join me in a round of applause for our amazing wait staff who've been great today. And then there are a lot of people in this room who have been the first to do something. One person was the first to do something a few weeks ago, and I want to recognize him. The first openly gay president of the Cook County Bar Association, Raymond Rushing. Or as I call him, the other gay Ray. I am beyond thrilled to lead the CBA into our 150th year. As you know, I am the first openly gay individual to be president of the Chicago Bar. And I'm going to repeat that again, the first openly gay individual. Thank you. While it may seem surprising that the CBA finally elected its first openly gay president in the year 2023, I am one in a long line of presidents, many of them who are here, who have been representative of the attorneys, over the last I'm losing my space. I'm looking at Tim's remarks rather than mine. I am one in a long line of presidents from diverse backgrounds selected by CBA membership over the last 30 years. The CBA works tirelessly to make sure that our leadership has been representative of the attorneys and the communities we represent and serve. Those attorneys and communities are remarkably diverse, and our leadership, as I said, represented many of them. While now is the time for a leader from the LGBTQ community, we still have many communities which have not yet been represented by our leadership. And I look forward to seeing our leadership continue to evolve to amplify those diverse voices. And that brings me to one focus of my bar year: inclusion. The word has different meanings to many of us, and so you can understand what it means to me and why it's so important to me. I'd like to explain to you how I got here. I am a first-generation college graduate, first-generation law school graduate. Growing up in then blue-collar White Lake, Michigan, raise your hand if you've heard of it. Didn't think so. Growing up in White Lake, Michigan, I don't think I knew a lawyer, and that's true, other than the ones on TV, let alone had any working knowledge of the legal profession. I was raised by a single mother who worked her butt off as a letter carrier for the U.S. Postal Service to raise her two sons, mostly on her own, but with family and community support as needed. I attended Michigan State as an undergrad. Go Green. I knew I could count on Charlie and Adam. Yeah. I attended Michigan State as an undergrad, and I was really bewildered by the new world I was living in. It was a college thing. And then after undergrad, I moved to Chicago for law school. I was once again a fish out of water. Fortunately, the fantastic folks at DePaul University College of Law guided me, and I happened to learn a little bit about law on the way. But how did I get from lost law student to large law firm probate litigator and president of the CBA? Hard work for sure, I won't deny that. And I'll admit, my privilege as a white guy with a nice smile helped a lot. Still though, it was unlikely that a young gay lawyer at a small firm in the late 1990s would be in front of you today. So again, what got me here? To be blunt, I made it because of more senior and influential attorneys who practiced inclusion. These attorneys, all of whom were CBA members, hopefully all sustained members now, these CBA members included me in meetings with existing clients, referral sources, potential clients, civic and bar leaders, you name it. They didn't just hire me to make a more diverse workforce, they took the next step and invited me to a seat at the table. They included me in, as the musical Hamilton made famous, the room where it happens. Those experiences provided opportunities for me to make the connections necessary to build the practice and network I enjoy today. This inclusion, in its truest sense, brought me invaluable understanding of how things work. How do I turn a connection into a lasting relationship? How do I figure out how to staff a matter? What questions do I ask to understand a client's problems? These attorneys, now friends, included me in what they did so I could learn. Inclusion is so much more than a part of an acronym to me. How does inclusion fit into our legal profession today? Well, we all have heard of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think the legal profession has made and continues to make strong efforts to create a diverse workforce. Hiring for folks from diverse backgrounds is only the first step, however, on the way to equity and true success. The second step is inclusion. Inclusion in the legal profession is critically important. It offers, one, diverse perspectives and improved outcomes. The legal profession is responsible for interpreting and applying the law to a wide range of situations. Including a diverse group of lawyers with different life experiences at the decision-making table will lead to a richer and more nuanced understanding of legal issues. Two, access to justice. Inclusion in the legal profession can help marginalized communities understand and access the justice system in proactive ways. When people see lawyers who look like them and come from similar backgrounds, they may be more likely to seek out legal assistance when they need it. And three, professional development. When lawyers are exposed to a diverse range of perspectives and experiences, they can learn and grow in their own careers. Inclusion ensures that everyone has access to the same opportunities and is treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their background or individual differences. When individuals and groups are excluded, they are denied the opportunity to participate fully in society, whether it's in the workplace, education, or the community. This can lead to feelings of isolation, low self-esteem, and decreased productivity. It also deprives society generally and the profession specifically of talent, inspiration, and genius that we can ill afford to waste. Inclusion makes all lawyers feel like they belong because they do. Practicing inclusion is more important now, today, than ever. We live in a time where many of the rights of so many minority community members are under threat due to a certain strand of exclusionary and divisive ideology. We live in a time where the US Supreme Court issued a decision today that forbids colleges and universities from even considering some of our diverse backgrounds in their attempts to create more inclusive college campuses. We live in a time when the LGBTQ community in particular is being threatened with the rollback of the advances our society has made toward full equality. And we live in a time where our transgender community members are facing constant threats to their lives, let alone their livelihoods. For those reasons, practicing inclusion can be a form of activism, a form of solidarity, a way for each and every one of us in the legal community to show that we have the backs of every member of our legal community, and a chance for each of you to show that you have our backs, that you are our ally in our continuing fight for true equality and equity. Overall, inclusion is essential for creating a just and equitable society where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. In the spirit of inclusion, I want to thank a few folks who made my success possible. First, I would like to acknowledge and thank my mother. But for the stability and guidance provided to me by my mother, Deborah Koenig, at an early age and throughout my life, I most certainly would not be where I am today. Thank you, Mom. Next, I would like to acknowledge and thank some of the people who have truly included me, notice the theme, at many stages of my career from 1999 to today. Those people include a lot of you, but in particular, they include some of my friends and those who nominated me for CBA leadership: Aurora Austriaco, Judge Robert Harris, and Howard Susskind. Others include such CBA leaders. There's other CBA leaders such as Beth McMean, Terry Murphy, Steve Elrod, Anita Alvarez, Dan Coten, Bob Glaves, Sandra Yanate, and Judge Miriam Ahmad. I would also like to acknowledge that table over there, colleagues at my law firm, Clark Hill, all of you, but I'm going to call some people out, so don't be offended if you're not on the list. Especially Mackenzie Hyde, Rich Chapman, Sheila Patel, Megan McCune, Tony Heller, Scott Schreiber, and Kevin Morse for their enduring support and friendship, especially as I come into this year. Next, I want to thank the many members of the LGBT legal community, lots of y'all back at that table. You've held me up and pushed me forward, and I want to specifically cite a few of you. Judge Mary Kay Marubio. If you don't know Mary Kay, you know you never say no to her. Laura Ricketts, Dan Kirk, John Litchfield, and my Bar Association event wingman, Adam Zeppelin. I almost forgot, I have to also thank my dear friend, Judge Mike Weaver. I would be remiss if I didn't properly acknowledge and thank everyone in the Chicago area probate community, because that's what I do. They have mentored, nurtured, encouraged, and when needed, Judge Malone admonished me over the course of my career. That includes the fine Cook County Probate Division judges, some of whom are here today. Thank you. Finally, I want to like to thank and acknowledge my family. This is where you get nervous, girls. My daughters, Grace and Addie, they're the ones right there. They're the teens at the front table who are mortified at the mere mention of their names by me. They really put up with a lot for me. I'm gone a lot. I have an ego. I like to talk about boring legal stuff. I like to do a lot of things they find really annoying, but they make me proud every day, and you make my heart sing. Thank you. I'm also grateful for the enormous sacrifices of and support by my husband, Johnny Song. Like many of you, I married my rock. This man sacrificed his career as an investment banker to become a stay-at-home dad to raise our children. His focus and dedication have provided the stability I needed to focus on my career. For that, and truly for your cooking skills, I am eternally grateful. Thank you, Johnny. My last thank you is to this amazing guy, Tim Tomasik, our outgoing president. Tim is a true gem and a wonderful visionary leader. I couldn't have asked for a better president from whom to learn. Tim, I thank you for your leadership and your friendship. So, would you join me for a moment? In recognition of your fantastic service as CBA president, I'm happy to present you with a few gifts which relate to two of your passions, other than your wife, of course. First passion, always. Two of your other passions, golf and the CBA. And I do believe that you are the first person to get 150th anniversary branded swag.
Love it.
Well, golf hat, golf shirt.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure we'll have these for sale at some point in the future, so, you know, Nina would appreciate it if you bought some.
Thank you, Ray. Congratulations again. Thank you.
So we've heard about Jennifer Tomasik quite a bit, and we're going to hear about her a little again. So Tim and his wife Jennifer set a remarkably high bar for the annual CBA trip to Ireland. For those of you who joined the CBA this year, it was pretty amazing, wasn't it? Yeah, it was pretty phenomenal. From what we remember, it was pretty amazing. Thank God we had a photographer who made a book of pictures. But I can only hope that we can come close to providing such a perfect experience during my president's trip to Mexico City in March 2024. Why Mexico City? Been asked that a lot. Mexico City and Chicago have strong economic ties with, believe it or not, trade between the two cities alone in the billions each year. For example, many Chicago law firms, like mine, Clark Hill, have offices in Mexico City. There's also a rich cultural exchange between the two cities, with both cities boasting vibrant arts and cultural scenes. Mexico City and Chicago are also sister cities, which means they share a lot of stuff. There's also a bunch of educational exchange programs between Mexico City and Chicago, Justice Reyes, UNAM, which provide opportunities for students and educators to learn from each other. Overall, the two cities have a long-lasting relationship built on economic, cultural, and economic ties, and economic, cultural, and educational ties. And I truly hope that you can all join me then. In conclusion, we're getting there. The 150th anniversary of the CBA, my lucky year to be president, promises many wonderful things. We have much to celebrate in our 150th year, with that celebration being ably led by Judge Nicole Patton and Terry Murphy. As Tim mentioned earlier, we have lots in store for the year, so stay tuned. We'll be pushing that out. And in conclusion, not only will it be our gayest year ever, I hope it'll also be our most inclusive year ever. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
And Judge Mulroy, I'd like you to notice that it is 1:24. So we're ahead of schedule.